exists within the society. Overt is the traditional one that people might say, yeah, it's so obvious that you've lent someone or you've done some other items out there that's just so glaring. During the civil rights movement, when dogs and water hoses, it's just glaringly. Covert is that type of a racism that when you go in and want to make a purchase, and the interest rates happens to be a lot more higher for one group of people than another group. That brings us into the conversation that when we really want to make an intervening inroads to racism in America, that we have to understand some of the basic key terms, and everyone has to understand them. For one, we have to understand dominant group and subordinate group. That given our country and its unfolding from 1619 to 2016, that there is a dominant culture within the social structure, within family, within economics, within medicine, within law, within the government, within mass media, communication, entertainment. All of those institutions that are here in America were defined by the dominant group. Now, I know we've been talking about African Americans, but it's assumed that all other ethnic groups that come in with different cultures and languages and backgrounds have to assimilate, which is a process of understanding your own culture, but then learning all of the dominant culture's values and norms. And that's what happens within American society, and we've all done that. One of the major institutions, such as education, from first grade through high school, and then from there through higher education, has a tendency to do that. We're supposed to assimilate, which people have done. But what happens in many instances that people do not understand racism part and discrimination part, which is looking at another person based on those alleged or real physical characteristics and then acting toward that person in a certain way. And when they do that consciously or unconsciously, it happens to be racism. Yes. Now, another term that we have to understand, in addition to dominant group, subordinate group, is that of prejudice. Prejudice is a negative attitude or belief that one has a tendency to generalize about that other group. And they do that because of the type of culture and society that we've grown up in. And sometimes it's very unconscious. For instance, we all know about the disparities that have happened with police officers killing African Americans. I bet if we had a conversation with that police officer, he would say, some of my best friends are African American, we play basketball together, we have cookouts together.
And mean it too.
Yeah, and mean it too. But they do not understand that this thing that we are talking about today is in the subconscious. So when they get there and feel empowered and see this other person, something that's been so ingrained has a tendency to come out at that particular point in time. That's why it's very important to understand how this is so ingrained in the American ethos, in the American culture, to the point that if we don't understand the terms, then we will not understand how it's so overgeneralized. And another one, I must say very quickly, is that of stereotypes. Yes. So since prejudice is a negative attitude or belief that's generalized about a particular group, a stereotype is the over generalization toward another group. So you can have a group of people that are in a homogeneous area, meaning all by themselves, as all one group, one ethnic group, say European Americans that live in a certain rich area or live in a place like Montana or North Dakota, South Dakota, as we're seeing today in our presidential debate that's going on. And they might have this overgeneralization about, say, having an African American president that in their subconscious make them feel, well, hey, that's enough, and that we're going to not vote and help or be an assistance way to something that's supposed to be better for everyone else in America. So that's an overgeneralization, a stereotype that you have about a person before they even show up. And so these terms are very important. Now, Dr. Leary would ask a group of people, this is the